Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate your time and your viewership. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at the original fragrance by the company Malul London. This one is called Jet Black. I'm excited to give you my thoughts, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of Jet Black by Malul London, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews here on YouTube, but also top 10 lists, giveaways, unboxings, special guests, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner, and of course, while you're at it, please be sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell icon. So this company has a lot of really awesome fragrances that I am a proud owner of. They have Blue, Black Tie, Santorini, Citizen Jack Absolute, and then of course here we have the original Jet Black. And this is a fragrance that I actually acquired late last year. I've been spending a little bit of time with it, and if it sounds familiar on my channel, it's because I actually featured it in one of my top 10 videos where I said it was a really wonderful fragrance to wear in the winter time just because it almost has like this pine resin feel to my nose. It's interesting, I looked up the note breakdown immediately afterwards and I saw that there was actually no pine. There is amyris, there are some sweet resins like labdanum in here, but it's really mostly this rosy on account of pink pepper, but also a vetiver fragrance. So it's kind of like green and earthy. Yeah, sure, there's a little bit of citrus in the opening. I think there's a little bit of mandarin. But for me, I almost get like this resin, this pine resin quality that kind of reminds me of the winter holidays. It reminds me of Christmas time. And I think it's also because I managed to make a connection to another fragrance that I own and have loved for many, many, many years, but I actually find this to be a fresher and smoother version of it. And so if you're interested in finding out what that fragrance is, make sure to stay tuned. Let's start things off with the presentation. So of course, in the opening of this fragrance, you're going to get the top notes, and what you're going to get mostly from this is like bergamot and like this orangey quality. More of the bergamot, I think, though, just because the citrus, while it is very effervescent and it definitely lures you in, it is of a nondescript quality. And so it's not like I'm smelling distinct grapefruit or yuzu or neroli or petitgrain or anything like that. I'm getting bergamot, but it's very nice and fresh and inviting. And then there's like this clean, smooth, floral, rosy quality about it. So that's definitely coming from the pink pepper. Now, pink pepper is not like black pepper in the sense that it comes across smelling spicy. Nothing about this fragrance, to me personally, smells spicy, with the exception of this almost like nutmeg cinnamon quality that I'm getting from this one. Funny enough, it's not listed in the note breakdown, but I think the reason why I'm saying that I pick up on nutmeg and cinnamon is because it kind of conveys this wintry / autumnal feel. So the fragrance that this one is kind of reminding me of is Burberry London. Now, Burberry London, I know people have called it the potpourri of the fragrance game. People have called it winter in a bottle. Some people have said Christmas in a bottle. Some people have said Thanksgiving in a bottle. I just think it's evocative of that time of the year. You know, November, December, I mean, they are neighbors in terms of months, but I think it reminds people of the colder weather. And I think a lot of that has to do not only because of the spices, but also because of those warm green resinous notes that are in the base. So I really think it's a combination of the vetiver and the labdanum that are putting me in this pine resin state of mind, because there is no pine according to the note breakdown, but something about it is reminding me of like a fresher version of Burberry London. And I think that that was always one of my qualms about Burberry London. As much as I love the fragrance, and I think it has a very addictive smell, and you put on a nice sweater, is that an oxymoron, a nice sweater? You put on a nice sweater, you feel really good in the winter time, and it just feels like it's a fragrance that cannot be separated from that train of thought, if that makes sense. And so I almost rarely, maybe never, found myself wearing Burberry London in the summertime, just because in place of it, I would probably wear an aquatic or a citrus fragrance or something like that. However, I think it's the inclusion of the bergamot, the orange, and some of the smoother and fresher notes that allow this fragrance to be worn all year round and not just in the wintertime. And so for that reason, I actually find this to be a more versatile version than Burberry London. However, if you want something very dark and rugged and definitely overbearing on the spices to some, or many I should say, I think there's a good chance you're really going to enjoy Burberry London. And I don't know if anybody else has made the comparison. I could be the only one who's making that comparison to Burberry London, but that is an iconic fragrance. I personally love it. It's one of my favorites. I've reviewed it on my channel many years ago, but it's a fragrance that I personally own and love. And for me to now have a more versatile alternative to that, it's definitely a fragrance that I see myself wearing, not just in the colder weather, but also in the spring, but also in the upcoming summer, just because I think it's a really great fragrance to wear indoors. It definitely also conveys a professional feel, in my opinion. And so if you're looking for that Swiss Army knife kind of a fragrance, but you don't want a fragrance that is this sort of generic aquatic blue K-Lone type of a scent, you want something with some body, some pizzazz, some distinct qualities about it, I would definitely recommend checking out Jet Black. Not as dark as the bottle is making it look though, so I suppose that that's probably one of the only things I'll say in contrast to the way that it smells, is that it doesn't reflect the darkness of the bottle. But in any case, I really enjoy this scent. I'm really excited to be wearing this fragrance a lot more in the coming months. And I should also mention that if you are interested in getting any Michael Malul fragrance for the best price possible, there is going to be a coupon code down below that you can utilize to ensure that you are getting the best price available at that moment. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, despite me making some comparisons to other fragrances, I do find this to be a unique fragrance. It's definitely distinct in its olfactory profile, and there are a lot of fragrances out there, of course, that contain that pine resin feel, whether we're talking about Vert d'Essence by Tom Ford or Cape Heartache by Imaginary Authors, and there are tons of others. There's also another fragrance, it's not coming to mind right now, but I think it's by Maison Trudon. It might be Dew. That one also has a beautiful, rich, resinous vibe about it. But in this fragrance, it's the most versatile of all of those on account of the freshness and the pink pepper and whatnot. In terms of the longevity, you can expect about 7 to 8 hours on your skin. The projection was great for the first hour of application. However, I will say I don't think it ever radiated beyond an arm's length, but that's okay. You don't want it to walk inside the room before you do. In terms of the versatility, incredibly versatile. Any season, any occasion. The price allows you to wear it casually, but there's still this unique appeal to the aroma that allows you to wear it formally as well. I think this one is perfectly unisex, although I think it is marketed for men, but I do personally find it to be unisex. I think all fragrances are unisex, and I can also see anybody of any age wearing this one and enjoying this one as well, from a high schooler all the way up to somebody in their 60s or 70s. I think there's no discriminating here. In terms of the presentation, I do like the presentation. I like the name. I think it's kind of cool, and I also like the uniformity of the bottles, and of course that wooden appeal on the side of the bottle here. So my final verdict on this fragrance is, if you are a fan of Burberry London and you're looking for a fresher, more citrusy and more versatile version of it, I think you should definitely check out this fragrance. And despite that comparison, it does still smell quite different. It's just my way of trying to communicate what the smell is like for someone who is existing in a world where smell-o-vision doesn't exist. So there you have it. So thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate it. That was my fragrance review of Jet Black by Michael Malul London. I really hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you took something of value from this video. If you did, please make sure to show your support by subscribing to this channel. Again, all you have to do is click on that red button. Make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. And again, if you are interested in picking anything up from the official website, there is a coupon code that I'm going to leave down below. Feel free to utilize that code if you do want to get the best price possible. Thanks again for watching. Love you all, and we'll see you soon. Bye.